Hello, everyone, and welcome to this 20th anniversary of the blogs in Latin America and the 20th anniversary of Blog Pocket, the maybe one of the pioneers of blogging in Latin America. And congratulations once again to my friend Antonio Cambronero for this milestone. Uh, my name is Alberto Gómez, and I'm a collaborator in Blog Pocket, and I'm very pleased, very glad, and very happy to have Mr. Joe Casabona today with us. Hello, Joe, and welcome.
Well, thank you very much. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me on.
Thanks for your time, and also thanks for all your content. Because for Antonio, for me, uh, it means a lot of information, inspiration, and we're glad to have persons like you on internet and in the WordPress world. That is one of our favorite tools.
Awesome. Well, that thank you so much. I appreciate. I love putting out the content. I see that you both often share my content, which I really appreciate because I'm glad that people are finding it useful.
Okay, it's hard for me to present to do a correct presentation of Mr. Joe Casabona because it's maybe more than 20 years of experience, a lot of content out of there. I mean, blogs, podcasts, TEDx talks, books, interviews. And I think maybe you can share a little about your background and what are you doing now because I know that there is a lot of things, but I know you also got a year theme that
Yeah,
defines you a little of your what you do. So
yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, I've been making websites for this is the 21st year that I've been making websites. I started in high school. My church came to me and they said they needed a website, and I said I don't know how to make websites. They said we'll pay you, and I said okay, I'll make you a website, and I loved it. I got into it, um, and I decided to start my own business right then and there in high school. In college, I said to my this was around 2004. I said to one of my friends, I think I'm going to build a content like a system to manage my clients' content. And he goes, "Have you heard of WordPress?" And so I started using WordPress in 2004, full time on client sites since 2006. And yeah, since then I've written a few books on how to build WordPress themes, and I have a book out about HTML and CSS now, going a bit back to basics. But I took a let's see, I got my master's in software engineering in 2009. I worked for myself a little bit before getting a job at my alma mater, both teaching and being in the tech department. I left that job to work for a WordPress agency for a few years. And after my daughter was born, I decided, well, I have a wife and a kid and a mortgage, maybe. So now seems like a really good time to go be self employed full time. And I started my business. And that's when I really started to pivot from more development to content creation. And I have a podcast I focus on for that. I try to blog weekly, and I've been really putting time into my YouTube channel over the last year.
okay, I know you got your podcast, How I Build It.
Yeah, yep.
You got your YouTube channel that you reach 1,000 subscriber maybe 3 months ago, 4 months ago. Also, you got your blog, your newsletter. But I there is a tool that we both know each very well, that is WordPress. And I want to ask, or we want to ask, what is the role of WordPress in all this multi-format, online, full-time, remote business?
Yeah, WordPress is the root of all of it. A lot of my content is still very WordPress centric. I still do WordPress development. So my blog obviously is a WordPress blog. My online courses are sold via WordPress and WooCommerce, and LearnDash, which is a WordPress plugin. My podcast website is WordPress with Castos, which is a very WordPress friendly audio host. and I'll be rolling out memberships soon for that using Restrict Content Pro. So it's all based in WordPress. My YouTube channel is still mostly WordPress tutorials, some general advice, and I'm really moving into the podcast space to teach more people how to launch podcasts and a done for you service. But again, that includes a WordPress website for their podcast. So that's really the core of everything I do is WordPress.
There is something that you share, I don't know where, but is the difference between uh, being a WordPress guy that do podcast and a podcaster that use WordPress. Can you dig a little more about this idea? Because it's the same, but it's tricky.
Yeah, I feel like I said that very recently on a podcast. I forget where I shared that though. But yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think the shift happened for me a couple of years ago, where I felt like I moved from, being a WordPress developer who podcasts to being a podcaster who uses WordPress. And what I mean by that is up until last year, really, the main way I paid for my lunch, so to say, the main way I made money was through WordPress development, creating client sites mostly and things like that. And over the last year, I have shifted. The main way I make money now is through my podcast and various podcast services. So I'm still a WordPress developer. It's a skill I don't want to lose. I'm certainly still a WordPress user, but I think that the my main messaging, right? The solution I am trying to sell to my potential customers is no longer you need a great website with WordPress or you need a great website. I can do that with WordPress. Now it's you need a platform for your message. And I think podcasting is really that platform. And I will help you launch your podcast. WordPress is still in there because WordPress is going to power the website. But the main solution I'm selling is helping people getting their message and their content out there with podcasting.
I'm going to refer a quote that is in your site, a phrase that is, when I think of Joe, I think of two things, podcasting and WordPress. And for many people out there, WordPress means website or WordPress means a blog. But you just tell us about how you use Castos to to host your files, but you manage all with in WordPress. Also, okay, you have a multi format strategy talking about content, and the thing is, what is the importance and the benefits of having a multi format strategy, but all of it WordPress centric? That is what just tell us.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna kind of paraphrase somebody who I saw speak at Podcast Movement in 2019, back in the before time when we could like go places. And he basically, when asked about should you have your podcast on YouTube, he said you should be wherever your audience is. So if people are listening to podcasts on YouTube, absolutely have your podcast on YouTube. And so having this kind of multi-content format, as you say, I really like that actually, where I blog some things, I YouTube some other things, and then I podcast weekly. I think that gives me the chance to experiment with different types of content to see what resonates most with my audience, to help educate them, and to give them a peek behind the curtain of the stuff I'm working on, because people love behind the scenes stuff. So I think that the multi-content format really works for me. And then, like you said, WordPress is I'll say the linchpin of all of it. If you go to my blog, you'll see the most recent blog posts. Some have a blue background, some have a light red background, some have a gray background. Those are the different content formats, right? Light red is YouTube video that automatically gets published to my blog. Light blue is the latest podcast episode that automatically gets published to my blog. So my blog is still the central place where people can go to see all the content I'm working on, but I'm still experimenting on these other platforms as well to build an audience.
Maybe at the end is something like you got your place on internet, you deliver content outside your WordPress, but you try to get intention inside your site. That's
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I'm my main goal with all of my content pretty much is to build my mailing list. Because once someone goes to my mailing list, they say, I believe in the things that you're doing. I love what you're talking about. I want what you're saying in my inbox weekly. But it's also the best place for me to market the stuff I'm trying to sell, right? Because look, we're all business owners, or like people who have mailing lists. Most of them are business owners. We're trying to put food on our table, and I'm trying to deliver as much value as possible in my newsletter so that I gain that trust to be like, hey, I'm having a sale on my podcast course. If you've liked what I've been talking about for the last 6 months or whatever, maybe check it out. I think you'll really like it. So yeah, I think you're right. I'm going to other people's houses to bring people back to my house.
that's great. Sounds better when you say it. Quick question: 1,000 email subscribers or 100,000 Instagram followers?
I would rather have 1,000 email subscribers. Uh, and I'll tell you why. I get much more engagement from that. I don't have nearly that many Instagram followers, but I've been trying to post a regular video on my story. I've been trying to ask questions on Twitter, and on Facebook. Some really hit, like, what's your favorite WordPress plugin? All of my followers have an opinion about that. But something like, I don't know, what's your favorite app, or uh, like, what's one goal you have for this year? Some of that engagement isn't there. But again, with my newsletter, it's a lot like the follower, the subscriber is a lot less transient, right? Because with Instagram, I don't know about you, but yeah, I open the stories. I'll just like flip through them sometimes until something catches my eye. When you're being delivered to somebody's inbox, uh, they're at least going to open and see what you have to say, or at least a good, I have about a 25% open rate on my mailing list, which by most accounts is very good. Like anything over 20 is apparently very good. Um, so I get that, I get more engagement from those 1,000 email subscribers than I would from however many social media followers I have.
Well, newsletters, blogs, podcasts, and all of that content. You just tell us about automated publications between YouTube and WordPress. And let's move into another field. Let's talk a little about productivity and how this is important, not only for you. I know for you it's very important, but also for every person that is creating content or creating their business on internet, why they need to put attention on productivity. And maybe you can share a couple of 2 or 3 apps that you want to share that maybe makes the difference.
Yeah, for sure. I think, I don't I'm not sure of your audience, but a lot of my audience is solo entrepreneurs, right? Small business owners, people who have to touch every part of their business. And for me, the pandemic has meant that I have less time because my wife is a nurse. She still has to go to work. My kids are not going to school or daycare. And so on the days she works, I can't work. And that made me really sit down and think, what are the things that I have to do versus what are the things that happen in my business that other people can do? Or other machines can do, right? So I've gotten big into automation. My newsletter curation is a really good process now. Anything I publish automatically goes into Evernote, and the newsletter is basically built there. So I don't spend, I spend time pontificating, right? If you're subscribed to my newsletter, you'll know I had one of my thinkiest thought pieces in the last one, kind of about social media and censorship. But as far as curating everything, it is automatically curated for me. I use a tool called Publer for social media shares, and so really great. Publer, PUBLER.io, really nice. I got it on an AppSumo deal, and it's fantastic. But um, I have my RSS feeds connected to that, and then I upload a CSV of thoughts and things. So like I can batch my content, I can automate a lot of things, and I have a virtual assistant now to help me with a lot of stuff.
I think I need a virtual assistant too.
Yeah,
Someday.
yeah, it's hard, right? Because it's I think for a lot of small business owners, myself included, it's hard to see the cost benefit when you see money coming out of your account without an immediate return on that investment. But my virtual assistant has freed up hours of my time, or she has given me back a whole workday. I mean, right? Because like on a day I watch my daughter, if my virtual assistant is doing stuff that I would have otherwise had to do, I got a whole workday back because of that. And it's sometimes hard to see the cost benefit, but it's important to think about it. Invest in your business with money, uh, and reap the benefit of time.
Yeah, and sometimes it's maybe like magic because when you hire someone or you put a task into someone, the work appears like magically. It costs you
Yeah.
something, but it's done without your energy in it.
Yeah. I was able to reach out to about 20 podcast guests in a
Hmm.
couple of minutes because my virtual assistant uh, got me a list of people to reach out to. We put it in a spreadsheet that I connect to Zapier. And when I mark a row as ready to send, Zapier automatically compiles and sends the email. And that includes a personal note from me too. So, something that would usually take me hours, maybe an entire workday, took me about 10 minutes.
Hmm. That's great.
Yeah.
Let's okay. It's not moving away from productivity, but let's back once again into website. And a year ago, you told us in your newsletter about building website efficiently, and we want you to share a little more about this concept because we love the concept and we try to apply it not only for our projects but also for our colleagues, clients, and students. So
So this was in my newsletter. I talked about building efficient websites. Is that right?
building websites efficiently, yeah.
Yeah. So
February 2020.
yeah, wow. Deep cut right there. That's like before the pandemic. Uh so yeah, so basically uh there are so many tools out there, right? For example, what's your favorite page builder?
Page builder, blocks, Gutenberg.
All right, perfect. Gutenberg, right? I've been using Beaver Builder for years. With Beaver Builder, and I mean, I teach a Gutenberg course, so I know a lot about Gutenberg, but the muscle memory of using Beaver Builder for me is there. I can stand up a landing page in a couple of minutes thanks to Beaver Builder and Astra.
Mhm.
I've chosen those tools to become efficient in, right? And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, because I wrote this about a year ago now. So but this is my philosophy, right? Is um, pick the tool that you know the best and you can implement good processes to build efficient websites, right? If you are if you're hopping from page builder to page builder, now you need to relearn something, right? It's just the same. It's the same as if you're not niched down, right? If I make a website for a baker and then I make a website for a lawyer, now I have to relearn my client's business to figure out how I should build their website. So, the idea here is pick a set of tools that work best for you and your processes, and you will be able to build faster websites just by virtue of that, by picking good tools that you know well to pump out the kind of websites that you are best fit to build.
And maybe in this concept also applies that you don't need a bunch of tools. You need the right tools for you or for your project. Because many, for example, with Slack, we got a rush of Slack projects in Colombia back in 2015, maybe. But
Interesting.
at the end, wasn't at the end, all of them failed because Slack is powerful for only use as a messenger app. So I don't know what it. No, I don't know if you're catching my idea, but
Yeah,
sometimes you overuse and sometimes you don't use properly the tools.
yeah, that's exactly right. And what the saying, the saying, at least here in America, is when you're a hammer, everything looks like a nail. Um, and so I think like part of that, like that's a little bit of a WordPress problem too. There are some people who think they can solve every problem with WordPress, but really the idea is use the right tool for the job. So if you're trying to be efficient and specialize and do good work, then pick the tools that you work best with and lean into them. If you're looking at other projects, right, and you happen to come across a project that maybe WordPress is not the best tool for, that's okay too. Um, so I think it's there are two sides to the coin. If it, so, I guess it really comes down to um, if you want. Let me see. I can sum this up succinctly for you. Uh, when it comes to you and your business, right? Um, and you're building websites, you should pick the tools that you're most familiar with. And again, I'll use another analogy. Um, let's say there's a car mechanic probably wouldn't use a hammer to fix the engine, right? It maybe could fix an engine, but car mechanics have much more specialized tools to fix engines. A carpenter, hammer is perfect for a carpenter, right? Because they're hammering nails. Um, so in that case, the tool that works best for those people are the ones that specialize for the job. If you are a carpenter, you're not going to try to fix cars. So that's the other side of the coin. As a carpenter, I know I can't build an engine. I can build a house. So if somebody comes to me and says, "Hey, I need a car," I'm going to say, "Go to the mechanic." If you need a house, come to me. So I think did I make that point clear? I think that was a decent
Yes.
analogy for what I was trying to say.
Yeah, I like analogies too,
Yeah.
and I put it on my content every time. But at the end, building website efficiently means the right tools, the right processes for the specific project. That's
Right.
and the core
Yeah.
of the idea.
Exactly.
Let's move into another question, the last question, because we are on time and we don't want to abuse your time and also the time of our audience. Uh, but what are your thoughts on Gutenberg and maybe the future of WordPress?
Yeah. So I mean, I have a course on how to use the block editor. It's getting updated, this month actually. Or I'm working on the update this month. I think it's a really important thing for WordPress to have. It makes creating better content more flexible. I was critical of the way it was rolled out a couple of years ago because it felt like it was rolled out quickly, just to say that we had it, and I thought that was wrong.
Hmm.
But now 2 years on, 2+ years on, I think that um, Gutenberg should be the thing. If you're starting a new website, Gutenberg should be part of the plan because it's going to be better for your clients in the long run. It's going to be the way you create content. And as we move into 5.7 and the future of Gutenberg, we're going to get into full site editing too. So you're going to inherently have a native, fast, and accessible and flexible way for your clients or your users to update the website.
Mr. Joe Casabona, thank you so much for your time. Any final thoughts where we can find you? You're free to promote your site, your LinkedIn account, your Instagram, MySpace, whatever you want.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I appreciate the time and I appreciate you letting me wax poetic on a few things. If you want to learn more about me, you can head over to casabona.org I'm also on Twitter at J Casabona. I'm at J Casabona at most places, but casabona.org to learn more, and J Casabona on like Twitter and Instagram.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for your time, everyone behind this virtual wall. And hope you can find this interview with Joe Casabona valuable for your projects, for your future, and for your online presence. Once again, congratulations to Antonio Cambronero, and let's celebrate a little more about this 20th anniversary of Block Pocket and the blogs in Latin America. Thank you, Joe, and hope to see you next time.